Well, hello again there, friends and fans. Raptor here, and yes, indeed, the wait is finally over. The most wish-listed game on Steam, with over 3 million wish lists, is finally out. Of course, with millions more probably playing on GOG, Epic Game Store, and even Xbox Game Pass for PC. Yeah, welcome to Manor Lords. Well, many of you have probably seen tutorials on this channel before, and many other channels too, but today I'm going to be covering a lot of the questions that you directly had in many of our live streams recently, coming with a lot of great questions that I haven't really had a chance yet to answer, and some I haven't thought about until just now. So welcome aboard to you all. Thank you very much for subscribing to the channel, hitting that like button, and joining us for a little something special. A kind of, hey, things I wish I knew before I started playing, and or, hey, here's some great questions where I think I finally have some answers. Well, welcome over here to the, wow, isn't that beautiful? Yeah, that gorgeous city of Medvedi Mesto. Check it out. We got ourselves some questions here from all of you that we're going to address right now, starting with one of the first ones being like, hey, well, I need to put down a well. Where can I put down my well? I can place it anywhere? Well, it depends. If you're playing on the relaxing game mode, or if you have the water dependency off in the options, you can basically put it wherever you want. But if it is turned on, then you'll have to place it basically wherever underground water is. Now, this is randomized each time, so if you see these blue lines here, you'll need to place it on those, otherwise it'll turn red. If you don't see these blue lines and it turns white anywhere you want, then that's just an easier setting, so don't worry about it. You can just build that anywhere you want. Now, here is one of the most important things I've been learning, and many of the questions that you've been asking pertaining to trade. Now, a lot of people are wondering, how the heck do you set up a trade route in this game? Well, here's how to do it. First of all, you'll need to set up a trading post, and this is the only way really to start earning regional wealth. Now, this is incredibly important because, of course, all the things that you make in your city won't be enough. You'll have to import some things, and you can always trade between other cities, but getting initial trade up on your main city is going to be super important. So, first and foremost, when you build your trading post, I think you should buy a horse as soon as you can, and make sure you have an extra hitching post available for it, or another stable, or at least additional storage here for stable space. All right, so here we can get 2 more horses if we need to. So now that we got this up and operational, one thing we can start doing then is taking a look at trade. Now, if you want to start trading stuff, you have to use this option here on the left side under trade rule. Let's go ahead and go to something that might be a little bit more profitable for our purposes right now. Here, check this out. We're trading 798 tools, and I'm just trying to keep 15 of them. Yeah, you can see a trade takes a little while. But anyway, yeah, we're exporting as where we can set it to no trade, where we're not trading anything at all. We can set it to import, to where we're buying until the desired surplus is reached. In this case, it is 15. We can also export and sell until the desired surplus is reached, which is 15. And we can also do a full trade where it'll both buy and sell to try to maintain that surplus. So that's all well and good. Now, one of the things that many people have been asking too is, how do you set up a trade route? Like, do I have to buy it? How does that work? Right. So let's say you wanted to do something like buy, let's say, maybe herbs for whatever reason, right? So first of all, you'll have to pay an initial cost to unlock certain trade routes. In this case, this is considered to be a minor trade. So minor trade routes don't make too much money. They're kind of smaller amounts, and yeah, they don't trade as much yet either. But if you wanted to, for example, start trading iron ore, you can go ahead and establish a trade route, which will then cost a little bit of money, but it'll also well, have a regional traveling merchant visit more often, so you get a little bit more business. So you could do the slow trade and buy and sell if you need to, or you could do the fast trade by upgrading. And then some are completely locked, where you can't do either. No big trades, no small trades, until you pay the ultimate price. Here it is 1,296, but there is a way around unlocking all these trade routes and also paying the import price. Over here on the left side, you see the export price for something like plate mail, which will be 24 silver or 24 regional wealth, and then the import price is 34. Now, there's a little bit of a sneaky tactic you can do right now. At the very moment, we can go ahead and buy some materials here, I think under crafting materials. Yeah, we can actually buy ourselves clay for 1. Now here it says 11 for the import, because we have not yet purchased one of the kind of newer things that we haven't yet done on the channel, which is unlocking trade logistics to then unlock better deals. This will give us a lot more leeway in how we open up trade. So check this out. Establishing a new trade route always costs a maximum of 25 regional wealth. Well, That 1,290 something for the plate mail is now reduced to just 25. Imagine that. And then we can also remove the tariff from foreign imports, effectively reducing all import prices by 10. Wow. Those two together are super powerful and has now lowered the price of, remember when we had to import plate mail for 1,296? Let's see if we can refresh this page here. Let's go ahead and try this now. Boom. Alright, so now plate armor is now 25. No longer. We reduced this by over 1,200 coins. Imagine that, dude. And then we've also reduced the import-export price to both 24, whether we buy or sell. Now, something we could do that's lucrative here that I mentioned before about clay is that if we want to, and this is a great way for you to make money early, in addition to selling some planks, by the way, which I would recommend definitely doing, and maybe some firewood and certainly food, but remember, be very cautious on how you trade some of that stuff. If we go to crafting materials for clay, we can actually import clay for one. We can then turn it into clay bricks over at a building over here, I think called the, unless I've deleted it, there it is, the clay furnace. We can actually make something known as roof tiles out of that. So if we go back to trade for construction, we have ourselves roof tiles that sell for 8. We can sell this for almost 8 times the price. So we'll earn, you know, we get 7 then after the kind of the price difference, and also this will allow us to buy weapons too, so we could actually buy spears for 7. So the 1 price for clay and then the 8 price for sales, yeah, we can actually buy spears for 7, and that's a great way to start with your initial basically your little militia. You can arm everybody, give them shields, all sorts of cool stuff. So very good. So again, remember, you have to do your trade route managements on the left. You have to set your desired surplus here. Check those trade prices here, and then also you might need to unlock different tiers of trade routes. So again, remember, there's the small trade route by default. There's the upgraded trade route by clicking this button, and then there's ones that you have to unlock too. So just keep that all in mind. Cool. So then, how do you make money from taxes, right? Okay, so there's a few ways to make money other than just the trade, right? So your level 2 and your level 3 burgage plots, once you get up to that level, will start paying you a monthly fee. So basically each one of these houses, I think, will pay 1 or 2 based on their size and how you set up the plot, etc., etc. But anyway, you can make money that way too. And then you can also start charging a tax once you've researched and actually I think once you've reached the small village, which is after you build 5 burgage plots. You can then unlock the manor, which then allows you to start taxing people to where you can keep taxes pretty low at about maybe somewhere between 5 and 10%. I usually go around 8, but have it a little lower now to keep happiness up in order to keep people coming in. Yeah, so we can go ahead and start taxing all of the things from regional wealth for our own treasury. So basically think of this as like state taxes and federal taxes. So this region here, this is all of their money. This 25,000 is all their cash. And if we start taxing that, then we get money from that for the kind of the federal budget, where we can then get money for, like for example, mercenaries. Now over here we've only got 6,000, which is still pretty darn good, and we can start taxing that as well. But we will need to build a manor to set a tax rate for each of these other areas. And so I don't really need taxes too much at the moment, but as you can see, that's how we've earned our 74,000, and that's ridiculously unheard of. We don't need that much money. That is crazy. So yeah. So also, in order to generate a little bit more influence, you can to get influence in the game, you can go ahead and give surplus food to the church in order to exchange that for influence, or you can always go and raid a bandit camp once you get enough retinue, or even maybe your militia forces ready to go, or even mercenaries if you have the time and the money. But anyway, yeah, if you ever see a little mercenary camp there, that's a great way to earn those things. Now, there's still a lot of questions coming in from farming. Again, I would certainly urge everybody to go back and watch the other videos on the channel for those types of things. But just to go over farming real quick, at the very start of the game, make sure you go ahead and look for things like emmer fertility, which is basically wheat. There's also flax, barley, and rye. Rye can be unlocked through the specialty tab up here. You have to go through the orchardy and then also the rye cultivation. And then that will be your super grain that is much more resilient and can create a higher yield. Now, the game doesn't really show you how much you'll be able to produce from one field, but essentially my theory on this and this is just a theory so far, is that each farmhouse can employ 8 different people, which to me means that we should make 8 different farm fields that are 1 Morgan. When you start setting up a farm field, it'll actually start telling you and calculating how big it is. So what I like to do is try to make somewhere around 8 fields, and then when you use crop rotation, there's about 1 right there, 1 Morgan. Yeah, so that's enough for like 1 whole group to plow in a day. But anyway, yeah, once you have yourself a very good upgrade for the plowing station, yeah, you could actually do a lot more. So the plowing station allows the oxen that you may own to then start plowing the fields, and then also start hauling grain in. So it's almost like the work of another almost like 4 or 5 people. It's pretty crazy. So you can get away with having a full group of farmers and then an oxen, and then you can also get away with having like 1 person and another oxen as well. I'm still experimenting with this, so if you know, let me know down below on what you think is the most optimal setup for farming, especially just for bread. I think we'll keep that very simple and just say for anybody growing emmer or rye, how easy is it to get bread? But barley, also important, of course. That is the only way to make ale or beer or whatnot, whatever you want to call it. And you can also import, but then also flax, which I haven't really done too much with yet, but of course is the only way to get linen. We'll have to process that from flax and or import it, etc., etc. Okay, so yeah, everybody's working here. They're doing their crop rotations. Crop rotation, real simple, real quick. Yeah, if you turn on crop rotation, you can have 3 years of what they call rotation. So you can have the farmers grow wheat on 1 year. Let's just say it's the year 1, right? So it is now spring year 1 in our minds. We're going to go ahead and start planting and harvesting wheat this whole year. So we're going to go ahead and have that done. Then fallow, which means that they won't grow anything the next year, allowing the field to kind of naturally recover. And then year 3, we have them do it again and then again. So it'll be 2 years of harvesting and then planting in a row after going from 3 to 1 again. Yeah, pretty good actually. And you can always check and keep an eye on fertility again. Going back to that emmer fertility thing, you can see here there's ways to do that. Lots of options in the development tab, so don't forget about that. But also, yeah, read each one of these things and hover over it, but also the policies program. Don't forget, in this game you have a policies tab, and this is really helpful to be able to turn on hunting grounds early. The moment you can, when you're given notification that you have policies available to set, go here and turn on hunting grounds if you're hunting and don't have farms yet. Even now I have mine on because I certainly want a lot more meat. As you can see, we're kind of low on that. Also bread too, but it is almost harvest season, so they're getting all that the wheat into grain by threshing that and then turning it into flour at the flour mill, and then of course making bread out of that. Pretty cool so far. So hey, you built a church, right? What does the church do? You probably have to employ somebody there in order to spread the word of the Lord, right? No, not at all. These jobs here actually employ grave diggers, which also you can read about up here in the upper left corner. If any time you wonder what a business does or who it employs or how that works, all you have to do is, wow, is that roof distracting? Do you see that? Oh yeah, now you can't unsee it. You can't look away. Look, don't look, don't look. Okay, anyway, yeah, so you can hire people to work on burial of the dead, also known as grave diggers. So that's only needed when somebody dies, and likely that's going to only be when there's like a giant battle. So if ever bandits come and kill some of your troops, you'll need to build your corpse pit, but also the church is automatic aside from turning on the grave diggers every once in a while whenever you have yourself a war. Yeah, so how do you expand your cities? Can you interconnect your cities? Yes, you certainly can. If you own a territory, you can make a connection between the two territories. Here we don't have the territory in yellow, but here we have the territory in red, so we can easily build a road through our own territory if we want to. And yeah, that's pretty cool. You can also build a city on both sides, but keep in mind that you'll have to deal with the budget from one side and the other. So yeah, kind of a little bit of a shift in the profits there. So it's a little tricky if you build one on the border. Hey, does height have any sort of advantage? Is there a reason why you want to build your manor up on the hill? Yes and no. One, it looks really pretty and it looks historically accurate and is really nice. But also, yes, because if you have your troops deployed up here and the enemy's somewhere near and they're coming to you, you just wait till the last second to come out and kick their butts. But you also have the high ground. So if you come out of your manor and you wait here and wait for the enemy troops to come up the hill, you have the advantage of the high ground and maybe even arrows and other things to fire down on them. And that would be a good thing for you. So yeah, it kind of doesn't really matter too much in this game yet so far, and neither does the placement of the manor. Right here we kind of have it almost dead center in the middle of the map. I'd say it's probably a little bit more here, but yeah, we've taken the high ground in the middle of the map, and now we can block troop movements from the north. So there is a little bit of strategy from that. You don't have to do it. You are notified pretty well in advance militarily that you know, the enemy's coming, and so you can pretty much get all your forces together and in the same spot. No problem. No problem at all. All right, let's move on to some new stuff. Alright, so real quick, I wanted to cover things on burgage plots, which are going to be the thing that you probably end up building the most in Manor Lords. First of all, open up your construction menu, and of course it's under the residential tab. First one there, under burgage plot level 1. Every time you build one of these, they have to be level 1, and then you can level them up to 2 and 3 and so on. Okay, let's go ahead and start with a little bit of a little area here. Now, as you can see, we can lay out a line of them. This will be where the front of the home or homes will be. We can click once to then kind of make a little waypoint for the layout system. We can click again to make another one, and we can click one more time to kind of complete that. So as you can see right now, we're going to be building a few different homes. We have the standard homes, which are kind of like these ones here, the large one, and some of these also have like what looks to be a little shed next to them. Well, that'll actually be an extension plot that we can build onto our burgage plots later. So this will allow for double the families to be here. So one in this burgage plot and another in the house, in the burgage plot, so we can actually house 2 families here. If we upgrade this place to level 4, or level 3, I should say, level 3 will hold level, level 2 and level 3 will hold more people. So we got ourselves level 3, which can hold up to 4 families if you do it this way. Otherwise, it's just going to be 2. So anyway, here we have a burgage plot in the background where they can make something like a chicken coop, a brewery. We'll go over some of those things later. But we can also modify this a little bit. We can rotate these to have different points of contact on the roadway. We can also lower the plot division, so we could just have 4 houses and 2 plots here, which is great for if we're going to have, for example, vegetable farms. Vegetable farms are the only thing in Manor Lords that really need to have a large space. In fact, in the game's description for things like vegetable farms, it does specifically say that you want to make a big old burgage plot for that. So we made some here. These folks are growing things like cabbage and carrots and beets, and each of these little houses can hold up to 37 of these. So you'll need to make sure you have a little granary nearby, otherwise they get easily overflowed and kind of have things spoil. Which, by the way, speaking of spoilage, many people will ask, can things spoil in the game? The answer is yes and no. So the answer for the yes is basically if anything is outside of the pantry, it is exposed to the elements. And you kind of see it raining right now. Yeah, kind of starts raining like crazy. Firewood, food, different things like that can all spoil and go bad if they're not protected from the elements. So if this is up to 37 for the pantry, then it's going to start overflowing and the crop will be lost due to just exposure. So have a granary nearby and make sure that you have enough people working there to store all these things, and it doesn't hurt to build multiple, so make sure you do that. The same goes for any sort of planks or whatnot that you make, so just keep in mind that there's a difference for food and a difference for building materials. Now, spoilage, yeah, you can have up to an infinite amount of months for that, and you can kind of review it here, and for the most part, you're going to have food that will last quite some time before it's eaten, and you can always continue to buy more stuff from your menus. So there you go. So for the burgage plots, then back to those again, I just wanted to showcase what we can do next. We can go ahead and upgrade these to tier 2 or tier 3, like for example one over here that's already tier 2. Yeah, we can upgrade this to tier 3 once we've reached the things that are required for growth. So we need to make sure we make all the goals on amenity and market supply. So we can basically see here that this needs supply of a tavern, which we do have a tavern nearby. In fact, they live pretty much right down the street from one, right about here. So this tavern here is having trouble getting ale. We have 3 families working on getting them supplied. Now, the biggest problem is that we're shipping in ale from other parts of the world, like the trade depot. So our people who are, I guess, the brewery, what was it, a publicist? Whatever the publicist, so I forget the name. The bartender, right? I'm sure you'll know. Correct me down below. But anyway, yeah, the bartender or whomever is working here will go all the way to the trade depot where we're importing that because it's just easier at the time being since we haven't set up the farm and the need is still there. And they'll roll it all the way to the tavern here, we're also doing the same with another tavern there. So we're trying to double down and solve the problem, but we're having a shortage of ale. So once we've got that solved, this will be remedied, and we can then move on to the next need, which in this case is food stalls. Now, if we're going to upgrade our houses and have any sort of problem with supply, we can click on a marketplace and see what's going on. We can see every one of these houses within this area is supplied with firewood, so there's no problem there. And look at that massive market reach. I really don't think you have to worry about that too much. And then food variety, and then clothing. So you can see here variety is a little bit of a problem, so we might want to import more things like apples and maybe some eggs and meat and berries in order to make sure it's all wonderfully distributed. So that's going to be a problem for right now. Once we reach level 2, then we have our level 3 plots, which are pretty much very easy to upgrade because you can't. They're the highest tier. So tier 1, very simple. You just need basically food and some clothing, like leather, literally just leather. And then that tier 2, of course, has the tavern and a few other things. But here we have ourselves pretty much just a shortage of one food and also a tavern supply. So once we can do that, there'll be a big button here. And you can actually hold tab. If you hold tab, you can see what can be upgradable. So any buildings that have upgrades will kind of appear as like a green little symbol. And I like to keep my burgage plots a little lower tier if they're kind of just going to be for farming. And it's kind of a nicer look. So yeah, you can see some of these buildings here that might have upgrades or specializations for things. So tab will be your friend for sure. Yeah, absolutely, Manor Lords. Very nice. All right, let's move on to new stuff. More new stuff. All right, here I've started a new game just to answer a few more questions real quick. Like, for example, winter months and or how weather affects things. How does seasonal change affect gameplay? So if you hover over the month in the lower right corner, it'll tell you exactly what months equal what, or seasons are what months and what those months do. So for example, spring through March and May, frequent raining and seasonal deposits will regrow. So things like berries and maybe maybe the deer and stuff regrow faster, but I'm not sure if they do. Like they replenish a little faster than they would in winter. That I'm not sure, but it could be something to take a look into. Then as for summer, June to August, crops will grow, and there's also possible droughts during those months. Now, I always see it rain a lot in this game, so at the current moment, even though I'm playing on a harder difficulty for weather, it does seem to be a kind of more rainy springs and more dry summers, although it still rains quite a bit. Now, the thing with the spring is that when it rains a lot, lightning can hit your buildings and start fires, and in the summer droughts, yeah, can possibly happen. Now, playing on the balance mode, I've never had a drought happen in the 140 hours that I played, so maybe that will increase in the future. Summer's also a great time for basically monitoring your farm, and if they're not doing anything, you can unassign them, or at least some of them, and then go and have them do some other construction. In autumn through September and November, harvesting and plowing will take place, so you'll see a lot of people plowing and sowing new crops for the next year. So it's a busy time, September to November, a lot going on with the harvest season for sure. And then winter, December to February. This is really interesting, so pay attention here specifically to resources being gone. Seasonal resources are gone, like for example, berries. They're disappearing. And of course, there won't be anything to grow for your burgage plots or your orchards or anything like that. So all that will be depleted. Firewood also has doubled the consumption of that. And that also is for charcoal too. So keep that in mind. And then also you'll have people maybe possibly freezing if you don't supply that. Sheep also can't be sheared during that time, so no wool production, something to keep in mind. So when starting a new game, by the way, I've seen here the first thing that you start with is the homeless people's tents, and recently noticed that you can upgrade that to a worker camp. Now here it says provides crude living space for five families. Contrary to burgage plots, can't be upgraded or expanded and may cause a small loss of approval. If you're playing in a harder difficulty or in general, I believe this is a trap. And also it has something to do with homelessness too. I believe there was a bug reported where even if you have this building constructed, and if you upgrade it to a worker camp and then there's 5 families living there and you build 5 homes, if you still have this building construction, if the building is constructed, people still somehow are considered to be homeless. You can have 5 people in 5 different homes and confirm that with nobody living here at the homeless people's tents or the worker camp, and the game will still think that there's homeless. So you'll get a debuff for that due to something not really being right, and it'll hurt your approval. So if you upgrade to the worker camp, which I don't know if you really need to. I mean, it basically gives storage for food and firewood, but honestly, if you're busy throughout the whole spring, you could pretty much have houses ready by maybe June or July. So building this, it just takes one log and does kind of provide additional shelter. But I feel like this should work a little differently, and it would be great to be able to relocate this building and use it as, especially if you upgrade to a worker camp, to be able to build it somewhere near like an iron mine or something further away from your town, so people can work there temporarily until you've mined all the resources, unless it's a rich deposit, and then you can keep it for a long time. So that's pretty much it on that. Let me know if you have questions. Now, another good question is, how do I upgrade my town? How do I get development points? So if you hover over the name of your town up at the top, it'll tell you what you need to do in order to get to that next tier. And these also help to unlock 1 development point each, to which I believe you can have a total of 6 in each of your cities, which kind of forces you to specialize in each of them. And that's something that's going to be important for when you settle new lands. So right now we just need to upgrade 2 more burgage plots to tier 3 in order to make this a large village. Now that is... Actually, wait, yeah, large village, we're going to be upgrading to a small town, right? So there's settlement, which is like stage 0. Then there's small village, medium village, large village, and then move on to small town, medium, and large town. So that should give you all the points that you need to spend on things, and just follow those goals there. So start at the top, find out what you need to do in terms of tier 1 and tier 2 and tier 3 buildings, and then once you're ready with that, then go ahead and find out what people need. So here, we just need to make another food stall supply, and then we should be able to get them everything they need in addition to the material upgrades for that. So you will have to pay a material cost in order to upgrade your burgage plots, which I think for tier 2 it's just wood, and tier 3 I think it's ceramic tile and a few other things. Let's take a look and see if we can find one. That is a tier 2 already. Here's a tier 2. So yeah, tier 3 is 25 silver regional wealth, 4 logs, 8 planks, and 4 roof tiles. So it does get a little bit spendy there for sure. Now, speaking of settling new lands, we can go ahead and click down here, and when we're ready, when we've got enough influence and have taken over another territory or whatnot, we can actually click here on administration, and we can go ahead and click on the settlers camp and start settling new lands. Now, we haven't settled here before, so I know we can settle here in this area. And this is really cool. This is something you may not have seen before in the game, and this shows a lot of promise for the future of Manor Lords, as there is settlement options to make a town, which seems to it's like a balanced jack of all trades. Then we have ourselves a farming village, forest village, and mining village. Now, I don't know this for sure, but my speculation here is that if we go into each of these specializations, that maybe some of those things in the tech tree will be unlocked automatically for us, and we can spend points elsewhere, so we don't really have to wait and slowly develop the town. We can kind of do things right at the beginning. Additionally, at the bottom, we have starting supplies. So we have modest, average, and plentiful, and those are each something that's going to be good for the initial start of the town. I think the extra bread is great, firewood and stone, but as for the tools, you can pretty much sell those right now. I don't think there's much of a goal for those, but we can't click on any of these things here. I can't really, see any more details on that, so it'll be good to see and to know what we can do in the future. So yeah, good times. Yeah, very good. All right, well, let it be known that there are other tutorial series here on the channel, and I want to ask you all to ask me any of your pressing questions about Manor Lords. Like, for example, is it out now on Steam? It is. It's out now for $29.99 for a few weeks, and well, until May 10th, and then you have to pay $39.99 when the 25% discount is over. Will this game have multiplayer? I don't think so. I don't think we'll ever get multiplayer, and if we do, it'll probably be around 1.0. And when will we hear about when a 1.0 launch will take place? I think that's going to be at least a year from now, if not more, and that's totally fine with me. So yeah, lots of cool stuff to learn about this game for sure, and lots more to see. Cavalry will be coming soon, siege engines, much more for those policies and whatnot. So yeah. All right, you got a question? If you got an answer, if you want to know anything about Manor Lords, ask down below, and I and everyone else watching certainly want to be a helpful force to help you. And let me know what you think about the game, or where you would like to get the game, like for example GOG, or maybe you want to use code Raptoria at checkout, and also where are you watching from? So many people watching from all over the world are interested in medieval cities and medieval city builders, and this is certainly one of those. So I'd love to know where you're watching from, and it gives me an idea what kind of cities people might be building based on where they live. All right, thanks again, everybody, for watching more on Manor Lords. I hope to see you all soon for more tutorials. I know this was short and sweet, but these were some of your pressing questions in just the first day of Manor Lords, and I wanted to be as helpful as possible. So spread the word about this video. Do me a big favor, by the way. If you haven't commented yet, just comment something stupid like, oh my god, this video changed my life. I want more people to find this video and all videos on the tutorials. Not for me. I get enough views already. You guys are great. Thanks for supporting. But I really want people to find out about Manor Lords and about the tutorial community out there, trying to teach so many people all the different things you can do and sometimes what you shouldn't do. So we do have a full playlist on other tutorials. I'm going to make sure we update that for you all, and also showcase more live streaming. And of course, we'll give more keys away for Manor Lords and many other games as soon as we can. Thank you very much for subbing. That's where all the sub perks go to, by the way, for all you. And I'll see you all next time. Thanks again. We'll see you soon.